Well, a big highball and hello to all the model railroaders and rail fans out there, and welcome to the October 2021 edition of the Central Division. Hey, last few weeks I've been working on the yard section, trying to get that side of the layout completed. So I've been doing some detail and scenery work, and I've also put in a couple of sky backdrops on the layout. I'll be sharing all that with you. And on the sky backdrops too, I'll kind of give you a brief overview of how I did the clouds. It's a real easy process. I think a lot of you will want to try. And as you know, on these intros, I usually do these, including this one, kind of early in the morning, and I don't know why. I guess it just sort of just ends up being the best part of the day today to do it. And as you know, I always have my mug of coffee with me. I have to have in the mornings my lifeblood, my coffee. So this episode I'm drinking out of my brand new Missouri Pacific F7 mug, and this is from a company called Railroad Mode, and so I want to give a shout out to these folks. I'll tell you what, I've never seen a design like this before. It looks like the front of an F7, and so they do mugs and tumblers and things like that for all kind of different railroads. So if you get a chance, I've got their website posted below, so check out their website. You might find some really cool items for yourself, and Christmas is a couple of months away. Maybe some good gift ideas, things like that. Hey, as always, I want to give a shout out to the subscribers. I don't get tired of saying, you're the ones that kind of help keep me motivated and moving forward. So, again, a big thank you there. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I invite you to do so. I do these monthly updates, kind of show you what I've done in the layout. And I also have some how-to videos out there. And especially those that have done how-to videos, those take a little bit longer, to do them right. And so I've got a few out there now, more coming. So again, keep checking back for that. And again, if you're a subscriber, you'll get those alerts when new videos and things like that are posted. Other than that, just moving forward. And so I think the caffeine, is starting to flow, and I'm starting to feel kind of energized and alive. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to show you what I've done on the layout. Well, I have a closet opening and a window in my layout room that I wanted to cover with some type of sky backdrop. I just felt these were a little bit too distracting and kind of took away from the overall scene of the layout. So I started with 1/4-inch sheets of plywood, and I cut one piece the width of the closet and the other the width of the window. Normally for a project like this, I'd use like hardboard or MDF, but I guess, with the supply chain problems, those materials are really hard to find in this area. So for this project, I wasn't really concerned with the backdrop just being absolutely perfect. The main thing was just to kind of cover that window partially and cover the closet door opening. So what I did was I sanded down the plywood really well, and then I applied 3 coats of the same color sky blue that I used on the walls. And what I did is I let each coat dry before applying the next one. So I didn't want this like really nice artistic scene, as far as clouds. Certainly didn't want anything where the backdrop would draw more attention than the layout. So I was going for something, sort of a nice hazy background, something that would kind of break up that sky blue. So I started out with white chalk paint, and this technique is the exact same thing I did on the layout walls. I poured a little bit of that chalk paint in a bowl, and then I took another bowl, added some water. Then I took a product called a woolly that you see here, and dipped it in the water, and then tried to squeeze as much of that water out as I could. Then kind of took the woolly, dipped it in the paint, not too deep, just you want to kind of just get it on the surface of the woolly, and more or less just kind of smear and pad the paint around the board. So the next thing I do is I take a dry woolly and I pad the area I just applied that water paint mixture. And what this does is it soaks up the excess water you might have gotten on the area, as well as takes off a little bit of that paint you just put down. So what you can do is just keep padding until you get down to the look that you're going for. So to add a few clouds to my hazy background, I'm going to take a hobby sponge, and I'm going to dip it in the water here, and then I'm going to try to get as much of that water out of there as I can. And then I'm going to come over here, take the sponge, and I'm going to dip it in my chalk paint. And we're going to get a little bit of heavier layer on the sponge than I did my woolly. And once I have the paint on there, I'm going to get a little bit of that excess off. And then for the clouds, I just basically just sort of gently pad around the area that I want the clouds. So when done, I have this nice kind of a cloudy, hazy background that's going to kind of blend in with the layout. It's not going to overpower it. So another project I've been working on is to change the background area of the yard section of my layout. And this video is actually a few months old. I've actually got more buildings in now than what this video shows, but last week I was marking the final placement of everything, and I got to looking, and it just didn't look right to me. I had this whole long row of buildings along my wall, and so what I've decided to do is take out some of these buildings and put trees on either side to kind of break that scene up a little bit. So I only have room for a single line of trees, so the trick to getting that that deep forest look is to either paint the wall behind the trees, just a flat black, or what I did is I just took the kids, the 2mm foam sheets, and I put those behind there. Now, whether you use the foam sheets like I did or just paint the wall a flat black, one thing you don't want to do is have your background with straight edges, squared, because you see that's really noticeable here if you look through the tree scene. So really all you have to do, if you're painting or using the foam sheets like I did, is basically you want some really nice, flowing curves on the top and the edges there. And you want to try to keep the top level of your black background below the tallest level of your shortest tree. And then you want to end it on each side right before the tree line ends. So basically you want that black background to blend in with the trees. You don't want it sticking out where it can be just seen. So here's the tree scene with that black background behind there. And I haven't added underbrush and foliage just yet. And even without that, you see where that background makes the forest look a lot deeper than it actually is, and it blends in. It just doesn't stick out, and that's exactly what you want. So once I've added the extra, the undergrowth and foliage, the scene's really going to pop. So here you see the background along the yard section. So I've cut it down to 4 buildings. I've got the trees on either side now, and personally I think it looks a lot better than just having the entire wall, that section just having building after building after building. I think it breaks the scene up a little bit and everything blends in a lot better. Well, folks, I appreciate you stopping by and visiting, and as you see, progress continues on the layout, moving forward. Now, one thing I wasn't able to finish, I was hoping to have done with this episode, was the weathering of the Railbox boxcar. And if you saw my episode last month, I was going to use artist oils to weather a Railbox boxcar, and I've never used that medium before, but I think most of us have seen just some of the beautiful results you get using artist oil. So about as far as I got was shooting the model with gloss coat, which is the first step. So I'm going to try to have that finished up before the next release, or at least partially finished. And I'm going to share that with you, good or bad, let you know how it turned out, and kind of discuss that a little bit. Now, speaking of episodes, we're getting into the Christmas season, Thanksgiving. For a lot of us, time starts getting tight, including me. So I'm going to try to have 2 more episodes before the year's out. An update in November and an update in December. But because of lack of time, what I might do is just kind of combine those months and just have an extra long program and just call it a November, December update of the layout. So we'll kind of see how things go. So until next time, wishing everyone happy model railroading. And we're going to go out with a little bit of switching down at the feed mill. We'll see you next time.